Blessings, 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 blessings be unto you. This is Mercedes Warwick, and welcome to the Spirituality of Cancer. I just completed a video, and as I was finishing, my sort of placed on my heart is to talk with you about why I believe cancer is in my body and how cancer came and why I don't feel like I did something to attract this cancer. And it's really going to be sort of multi-layered here. When I was a little girl and I was going into becoming a woman through my menstrual cycle and everything, I had challenges from day one. I could never take the birth control pill, and there were, I had very severe cramps, debilitating, and I'm an athlete. I was an athlete. I was a national class Olympic athlete, Olympic hopeful. Never actually made it. They boycotted the Olympics the year I qualified, but it was very unpredictable. My period would, it actually disappeared when I was a young child. I thought I had done something wrong and was afraid to tell my mother that my period had actually disappeared. But when you're competing at that level and at such a young age, it can disrupt your menstrual cycle. So I have had hormonal challenges. It was like it was programmed in. Okay, I had lumpy breasts. I started taking mammograms and ultrasounds when I was in my 20s. And the doctor had said to me, you don't have to worry about the lumps if they feel like this, but if they feel different than this, that's when you're going to, that's when we have to address it. And so just on a very physical, sort of practical, how my body was programmed, when I came in, this is it. If something was going to go wrong, there was disease going to be in my body, it was probably going to be hormonal, and I didn't know enough, and this is the one thing that amongst the one things that I have learned is at that age, because I was health conscious without titling it. I would, my mother reminded me, I'd make my own bread, I'd cook my own meals, I wouldn't eat the hot dogs at the track, I would make my own salad dressing. I mean, I had a consciousness around me and the food, but mostly because I enjoyed it, not because I even understood the nutritional value of what I was doing. And later in life, I, drifted away from some of those things. But at a very young age, I would pack my own lunch. I would cook my own meals, and be very conscious about what I was putting into my body. So that's one aspect. The other aspect is from a spiritual perspective, fast forward to being later in life. I was not, I went through robbery at gunpoint. It was a spiritual experience. I'll tell you about that at another time. But on April 22nd, 2007 was the day of my last period. That was the day my period was supposed to come. And I got some drippings and I got some brown sludge, and my period never came back. And in hindsight, when I was asking the doctor about it, I remember she saying, if that's the least of your problems at this moment, Mercedes, because it was a very mentally challenging time, and she was just trying to get me to sleep because I wasn't sleeping, and some other things. So we never circled back, and I don't know in hindsight if, there was maybe a hormone shot or something that we could have used to jumpstart my cycle again, but it just never came back, and it's like, oh, you're so lucky because now you don't have to deal with that, but it was a disruption. It wasn't a natural occurrence. And so now we fast forward a little bit more, and I am extremely unhappy. Um, and I look back at that time, and I look at how happy and content I am now, and I look back at that time. I didn't even know the feelings that I feel now, the feelings of contentment and happiness and joy. And sure, there's some fear and anxiety. This is not a this is not an easy road. This dealing with, and it's very unexpected. So you have to live in the moment. You know, you're going along feeling fine, and then something happens, and the numbers are shifting, or this is changing, or, you know, and look, no hair, you know. My hair used to be the crowning glory of my big red fro, and no hair. And it was so interesting. Right before this happened, I was thinking about cutting it, and it was sort of like I was going through that thing, and then I'm going through this experience, the hair is falling out in clumps, and one day I just take it off, and I like me like this. I like the way I look like this. I don't wear makeup and things unless I'm really going out and doing some things, and even then I don't put much on because I want to keep my my toxicity load down, so I do natural things. But I was not happy. I mean, I was morose, not happy. And then people would see me, and I'm so happening, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing my spiritual talks, and I'm doing the healing, and I'm helping everybody else around me, and they're having great strides and things. But I myself was not moving my life into a place of happiness. And I will be honest with you, I didn't even know. I didn't know what I know now. It would have been a sad thing for me to have died at that point, because I would never have known what I know now, the feelings that I know now, the depth of love that I've experienced inwardly. There's the external. I've got a great community of friends around me, but that inwardly, contentment, peace, and love. And so I've been very fortunate. There's just no words. There's just no words to describe it. And here I am going through this experience, and I'm talking 3 to 4 years ago, called stage 4 cancer. And now we fast forwarded. I'm in my 4th year of living, and here I am, truly engaged with living. And I don't live much. I'm not out, you know, right now COVID's going on and everything, and I've basically been home grocery shopping, and I think I've gone out to a restaurant twice since last January, and we're now in October. So thank God for my puppy. I got a puppy in December. She was 4 months old, and her name is Priya, The Adventures of Priya, and beloved. Priya means beloved in Sanskrit. And so I've been very, very fortunate. But let me tell you what happened. At that time when I was in such mental, emotional misery, I wanted to die. I was like, you can just take me anytime. I wasn't going to commit suicide. It wasn't anything where I was, you know, feeling the urges to commit suicide, but I was so miserable. I was like, there's just got to be more. There's just got to be more, and I can't get to it. And you can take me anytime, you know. And at the time, I thought I knew everything, you know. I've experienced this, I've shifted that, I've got the gift, you know. I've lived this life, I've had everything, I know everything I needed to know. I'm ready to go. And so God, being the God of all knowing, said, okay. And I believe that there is a switch in the body that says, you know, time to go. So I flipped the switch. I flipped the switch. And because of the makeup, I don't know if it's a genetic makeup, I don't know if I would say that it was the genetic makeup of my body, but because of the propensities that I came in with, it would be breast related, it would be female related, it would be hormonal related, because those were the things in my body and how my body had manifested discomfort. in other spaces of my life. So I flipped the switch. And I wish I could tell you that it would be as simple as flipping the switch back on. I mean, I think that's what happens. I've actually been involved with three spontaneous healings, and I do believe that the switch can be just flipped back on. But if it had been that easy, and this is where you might think I'm a little twisted, but if it had been that easy, I'm going to flip the switch on, I'm going to flip the switch off, I would not have truly learned what I've learned over these last 4 years. And nothing would be worth not knowing what I know now. So if that switch had just flipped, I would have gone back to living the way that I was living. And it's so interesting because we're human beings, and every now and again, like, I'll get tired of eating a certain way or whatever, and I'm so glad. That's why part of the thing that I really try to emphasize is that do the things that you can live with. So I enjoy, my favorite thing in life is burnt peanut butter cookies. I haven't made any in a while, but not black burnt, but crispy and homemade, and bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches. So when I was going through my early journey, the big treat was I go and get a bacon. I'd been drinking vegetable soup and whatever, for whatever, I was just going to turn into a garbanzo bean. I'd eaten so many flour, pancakes became out of garbanzo bean flour. I mean, I was going to just turn it into one big bean. But every now and again, I go get a bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. You've still got to enjoy life, and that's why I try not to do anything. There are things I do to support my life and living peacefully, strongly, and emotionally fit. But in the medical profession, my doctor said, we will never consider you to be cancer-free. You will not, at least with this doctor, you will not hear the words "no evidence of disease," because the words that another doctor used, I was lousy with cancer. Right? So now cancer is up until my last scan just a few weeks ago, cancer is inactive in my body. Like, there's no change on my scans. There has been some changes in the blood work and the readings, but that can be a number of different things. They don't look at the blood work as being, it's kind of like an indicator, but so there's still evidence of disease in my body, according to the medical people, right? But I try not to have evidence of the disease in my mindset or my spiritual beingness. Because what they're saying is that they can't guarantee that the cancer will ever be gone. That's how bad my body was when this started. I actually asked to see an x-ray of the metastasis to my bones and my legs, and the one leg looked like rice, looked like little grains of rice. Okay, so I think that's very important because of the last video that I say these things, and that's why I can't say that I attracted cancer. Now, if you believe that we contract for things before we come into our physical form, and this is how we're going to get our life lessons and all of that, maybe I contracted for it, as I was descending into this form. But there's so many different philosophies and propensities and whatever. Believe what you believe and believe it very deeply and hold on to that. And then move forward and allow yourself to be transmuted, to shape shift. I'm not talking about transformation, to actually shift into a whole different beingness. You know, look at me. I'm different. I have no hair and no eyebrows. That's a shifting. My body has to shift in order, in some ways, my physical energy is better than it was 4 years ago. Right? It's better than it was 4 years ago. My doctor goes down this thing, your mood's good, your energy's good, and it's better. It's not just, and I'm not going to say drink this or eat this or do this, because I get my way of being and what to do next. And when I sit in those spaces of existence and I say, reveal to me. And I have these practices that I had before cancer that have just been expanded and massaged, and I don't know. My word this week is velvet. They just feel velvetily. I don't know if that's a word. And so that's the gift. That's the gift. That's the gift. I got to know me, and I got to have an experience where I get to connect in to that deep place of loving within me that's allowing me to journey in this experience. Because it's scary, and it certainly is not. It can be scary, and it certainly is not consistent. You cannot wake up every day. But I have a therapist. One of the things I needed a place just to talk, and I got a therapist, and one day I was going on about something, and she reminded me, but is any day really promised, Mercedes? Is any day really promised? So that's why I wanted to just say, that's why I feel this journey so deeply and why I feel so blessed. All right? I think that's enough for now. Thank you so much for listening and for being here. And namaste. May you know the divine intimately.